Hi there, and welcome back to my channel from Tony here, Sydney, Australia. This is a follow-up video to one that I did a couple of months ago on my Mercury Optimax 135 horse, talking about 15 tips looking after this engine, and just follow up to show you a couple of things that I alluded to in the video, and also to answer a question which we had from one of our viewers. So here is my engine and boat, and the first thing I wanted to tell you about was the little oil filter tool that I use to remove the engine mounted fuel filter on my boat. So here's the fuel filter which we talked about last time, and here is the tool that I used to remove it. And if you look closely, you'll probably notice that there are little indentations in the loop that grip onto the fuel filter that enable it to have a really good grip. And what you do is you just loosen the screw at the bottom, and then you insert it. You actually remove the water probe, which is on the bottom of the, it just pulls off, and then you insert this over the case of the fuel filter, and then you turn it anti-clockwise, looking up, I think, until it loosens, and then you just turn the screw and move it to the next location, then keep screwing it, away it goes. The other thing I wanted to show you was the grease that I use when I'm doing the greasing on the outboard, and it's the Mercury 24C waterproof grease, which I highly recommend you use for greasing. Don't just use normal grease. So going back to the engine, the question we got from our viewer was he was having trouble getting full revs on his engine on a Boston Whaler 17 footer, and so I just wanted to show him the throttle position at both idle and also at full speed on this engine. So if you can look here at the front, you can, well, firstly we start in the middle, and you can see the throttle linkage goes via the cables, and then it goes to the bottom of this big lever here. This big lever pivots, and you can see an extension piece, the chrome extension, stainless steel extension piece that goes to the front, and you can see the actuator on the vapor separator, which is in the idle position. So what I'll do now, I'll go and move the throttle to the full speed position, and note you have to have the engine in forward to do that on this engine. So here's our throttle, and we push it to full speed. So we've done that now, and we'll go back and we'll have a look and see where the actuator is on the engine. So now can you see that the cable has pulled that actuator right back to almost a, I'd call it where the linkage meets that little black plastic bracket, right back to almost probably the 5 o'clock position. So our friend with the Boston Whaler, if your throttle cable is not pulling this linkage back to this position, you're not going to get full throttle out of your engine. So this one can rev up to 5,500 plus at full throttle, never had a problem. So just check your linkage to make sure that it goes back to that spot on your engine, and if it doesn't, you'll have to check the linkage, and you'll notice there's some screws etc. down the bottom that you may be able to use to vary that position. If not, you'll have to look elsewhere. One other thing that I wanted to tell you was I mentioned about the, we'll just put this one back to neutral position, was the lanyard cable. So this is it. I'll just grab it. So you can see that's the running position, and that's the off position when the lanyard's pulled out. So you always want to make sure that your engine is in the running position, and do not try and start it when it's in the off position. I couldn't find the lanyard cable right now, but what happens is when you pull the lanyard out, it flicks it, but it flicks this lever down. So just make sure that this switch here is always in the upper position, the run position, and you won't have a problem. So I think that's about all I wanted to show you in this short video. Any other questions you've got, just feel free to comment me, and I'll see what I can do. So yeah, happy boating. It's winter here in Sydney, so we might get this one out, but we're in no hurry. It's a little bit cool. And as Captain Steve from boattest.com says, I'll see you on the water. Goodbye.